The home opener. Rocky vs. Apollo. Batman vs. Joker. The Bay vs. LA. Rivalries dawning since, well, the dawn of time. And our boys are looking to make a statement. The troops are rallied at home. And we're... Well, you know Preston got some revenge, so we'll see y'all at Stanford. Yeah, we already all know what's shaking, but today looks like Inter Miami is trying to offload some of their money, so they shipped DeAndre Yedlin over to Cincinnati. I'm assuming they're going to try and revamp the back line, especially right back situation now. But that was a kind of a shock move to the league, and shocking to me, they're actually dominating. I'm not shocked they have the quality to do it. It's more so like I didn't think it would happen every game just based off not the big names, but the other guys. I mean, 6-0 doesn't just happen, especially Orlando, who had such a good season. I doubt they fell off that hard, but we'll see how they are at the end of the season. Also, putting that much of a whooping on Orlando made me feel so much better about our situation. What everyone wants to talk about, out of nowhere, this rumor comes from Fox Sports Mexico, like at midnight, that Carlos Vela is close to signing a deal with the San Jose Earthquakes. LAFC legend Carlos Vela to leave for one of the rival teams. We were going to use our final DP spot on him, and just as quick as the rumors came up, it seemed they vanished. It just seems like it's not going to happen now. There's a lot of stuff being thrown around, but it pretty much seems like it's not going to happen now. Some people think it was just used to make some negotiation tactics to make LAFC have to buy him so he doesn't come over here. But, I mean, for 48 hours, we were a league-wide team, and it was a lot of fun. Wish we could maybe experience that a little bit more, but yeah, now it just seems to be dead in the water. For those of you that weren't at the game and noticed that Carlos Capo was subbed up at halftime, I don't know if they said it on the broadcast, but he was seen in crutches leaving the game afterwards, so I think Carlos is going to be out for a while. I'm hoping maybe it was just a rolled ankle or something, but it didn't look great. So I'm assuming that Bruno Costa is going to be a left back and Paul Marie is going to be a right back for the next few games. Let's move on to tactics and stuff. Honestly, I don't even want to break down the tactics for the game. It was a rough game to watch. It was bad. We'd all see it for ourselves. I'm trying to find the words. I'm stuttering a lot, but it was a frustrating game. I think it's just better if I dive into some of the negatives and some of the positives. And yes, I do have positives from the game. Let's start with the negatives. This is the one game a year where I don't care how we play. Like I don't care if we're looking like Barcelona, looking like this really cool counterattacking team, whatever. It's the one game of the year where I want a broken leg. Per se, I want rough tackles. I want them going in. I want passion. I want heart. I don't care how pretty it is. In fact, I want it to be a little bit ugly, and I didn't see it today. It didn't look like we came up to show. I'm not saying that they weren't trying. I mean, some of them were running real hard, but I didn't see anyone who it looked personal, and it looked like just spite and hate in their eyes for the other 11 on the other side of the field. I could talk about the players. I could, but I mean, not really much to say. The thing that bugged me the most was the lack of togetherness. There was just so many off-ball runs and just no one communicating, not following the runners on every single play. Over the course of a 90-minute game, of course it's going to happen, right? But all three goals just came from ball watching and not yelling at each other or just zero communication from anyone. I get it's hard to hear in the stadium. I get it's easier said than done. It's in a much faster place. Payne still was phenomenal for LA, but that just killed me. We didn't look like we were together. No one wanted to shoot. That's another big one. Even when we did build up, no one wanted to shoot in that final third. It was unbelievable. The amount of times we were just yelling shoot, it looked like we were trying to pass it in. Just no one was there. No one. I didn't see. It didn't look like we were ready for the derby. You know what I mean? It looked like we were just here and we were playing a game a little bit. We didn't use the left side. I'm frustrated about that. It was Pellegrino, his debut. I gotta see him for the game. Love the guy. Want to shout that out. He was running late and he went out of his way to drop his stuff off and come back to take a photo with me because I wanted one. So thank you for that. But it was frustrating. We didn't get to see more of him. He needs some more time to get his feet wet. Their whole game plan defensively was to double team Christian, triple team. I think at a time I saw 4 or 5 on Christian, and they just knew we played through him. It was a very simple thing. They weren't even worried about if we passed it back from Christian. It literally was just one of you follow him down the line, one of you watch for the cutback, and we didn't have many other options. So to not go to anyone else, especially Pellegrino in his first game, that was frustrating. I just didn't see many options. We switched Christian's side. We switched him to the left eventually. We even had, when Benj came in, he was playing attacking mid, and then It looked like we switched to a 4-4-2. I don't blame Lucci. It looked like he did try to switch things up because the original game plan didn't seem to be being followed or worked through. But it just, man, our left side could have built a home so many times. We just didn't switch the ball very often. But I do want to move on to some positives. I think enough people have been saying negative things. I think it'd be unfair if I didn't mention those. And I'm sure there's more, but it's a rough game, and there's a lot left, so let's move on to the positives. It was great seeing you guys. Anyone who I saw at the game, it was great seeing the Quakes fam. It was great being in the fan section again. It was great going around. I did some trivia beforehand. It was great doing that. I want to shout out some of the players: Jackson Ewell, Tanner Beeson, Jabo, Tommy Thompson, the GOAT. They stopped by and they talked to me for a little bit and like had like actual conversations with me, as well as a few others. I really appreciate that. But that was before the game. Jackson after the game as well, which I appreciate, especially after a hard loss like that and the way he was getting saluted for being the captain. Lucci also had an off the record conversation with me at midnight in the pouring rain, so I wanted to thank him for taking the time to do that. I really appreciate that. And then everyone who came up and said hey to me, it was nice to me. I met some fans. It was really cool. I give it up to the Quakes themselves. The level of production was really cool. I know Lucci had a big part of that. He wanted to make it a spectacle. I don't know if it was just a home opener or it was a home game. The biggest thing I was a fan of was something we used to do, and I think it's really fun, is where when they're announcing the starting lineup, the announcer says the first name and we yell the last name. I didn't really hear it too much, maybe because I was yelling and I couldn't hear anything else. But that was really fun. That was I appreciate the effort that went into that trying to increase the fan experience as well. That was something that was wonderful, and I absolutely appreciated it. It just made it more fun. They're always fun at the game, but it made it even more fun. What I didn't like is, so I stand where the fault liners are, that's by the bar side, and when it's on the far side over by the ultras, I like to look at the screen for, sometimes you can't see, and that's just the better screen. And they used to never show replays, but they started showing replays, and I was super happy about it. But there were some times where, it was just, a random replay, and there was a really good attack going on, and I had to, watch the replay or try and, scout my eyes down the field because they were just showing a random replay. So I guess doing that, but something that during the game, obviously I was in a sad mood after the game. I'm just like, oof. It made me laugh immediately was after the game, the PA or whatever immediately started "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey. So after this bad loss, you saw fans leaving the stadium around the 80th minute. You can just see everyone flooding out, heads down. Don't stop believing. Oh man, that made me laugh a bit. That was quite funny. Apparently we had a win song too, but for that game, I looked at everyone, I'm like, yeah, I think that was definitely for the fans, but that was just a rough game to hear, but it was funny. As far as players, Judd, I think it's Judd. Preston, first off, I met him in person. That guy's giant, thick and tall, deceivingly big. He looked like he had a bit of fight and wanted to prove something when he came on. But Jack Skane, I think, I also want to preface, I feel like anyone I'm going to compliment, I'm just not going to let's just not mention the final third because it fell apart there. But Jack Skane, he got the ball and he was just so explosive at running forward, creating. I think that's what he was best at last year. When he got the ball and he would just run forward, it would just be troubling for the defenses with his pace and his ability to break and start the counter. Now it sucks that we don't really have Miro to maybe make that late run or try and create something afterwards and kind of dictate the play. That's why I like Jack on the field, but maybe not as the attacking mid. I mean, I first 15 minutes, it's the same story every game. First 20-ish minutes, we look great, and I guess that's negative, but then we just fall apart. I guess that can be the negatives. It's the same old in that sense. But yeah, we look great. We had a bunch of corners we were going for, but I mean, we just didn't shoot. It wasn't in the highlights for anyone who didn't see the game, but there's one where Christian got the ball over the top and he's in the penalty spot and he does a fake shot and he cuts back and then he does it 2 more times and then he doesn't even get a shot off and they cut it back. And this was maybe a 2v1 including the goalkeeper, maybe a 1v1. I don't quite remember, but I just remember I couldn't believe he didn't shoot. This kind of goes into my concerns I know we're in the positives, but it goes into my concerns I mentioned early on. Are we going to force Christian to try and have another MVP season? And if he doesn't, what's going to happen? So I think that's something we're going to have to find out over the next 3 games. I want to thank Jabo for two things. One, after the game, the players usually clap the ultras and they clap the fault liners. Jabo, I know, spent a little extra time clapping, like while other people were going away. He was like really staring down. I'd say another 20, 30 seconds just. And I think it was a sign of like, we thank you for coming out after this performance. And after the game, he actually had a really good quote. I don't want to take credit for it. I think I said it was a long season, or like I thanked him for always putting in effort, always taking time to say hey to us, even after a game like this. And I think I said it was a long season. I don't really remember. I don't want to take credit for it if I didn't, but let's just say for this conversation I did. And he said, because he was kind of silent, he looked up and he looked at me and he was like, Seattle Sounders in 2016 were dead last in the league and went on to win MLS Cup, which, like, again, like I love talking to Jabo. The dude is so knowledgeable. He's just like a fun fact machine. Like, I mean, I remember last year or 2 years ago, he was looking on his phone, just like watching games afterwards. He just, like, I don't want to say gym rat, but he just loves the grind. He loves the sport. He loves the game. So, I mean, it was good to hear. I don't want to go too much on that because, like, I think we're all at a point where, like, yeah, it's really good to hear things. We want to see some things, but it's game 2. Sporting Kansas City, who beat us in the playoffs last year, I think they lost and or drew, probably lost their first 10 games. And then they made playoffs, and it's the same playoff format this year, so we started hot and we started to burn out. So maybe it's better to peak towards the end of the season and get all the feathers out now, right? We still got some more people we need to sign. Got some new signings we still need to work into the squad. It's figuring all that out. So let's just move on to what I want to see next week. I don't really care about the result. Okay, yes I do. I want to win, right? More so though, I want to see an 11 fielded, not 10, not 9, not 3 players, not 1 who did it a lot. I want 11, and then maybe even the subs that come in. I want them to show that they're pissed about last game, and that they love representing this badge right here, and that they want to show Lucci that they're willing to play for this badge right here, and that they're just willing to be dogs, fight for the ball, be passionate. It doesn't matter what the score line is, it doesn't matter what the time is, it doesn't matter how long they've been in, how long they haven't been. They're sprinting for the ball, they're running plays, they're organizing, they're yelling at people, they're trying to get them around. I just want to see some passion. That's what I want. I just want to see a bounce back game. I want to see, it's at home next week versus Vancouver Whitecaps. They're going to play their second game. I don't think they look great. Haven't really watched them. I don't think there's anything spectacular. So I could say, like, oh, we got to win because of our season. We got to win because of who we've played so far. But for me, it's got to be a bounce back game because it's at home. And there's a lot of good money being spent there. Some people traveling 6 hours. Myself, I mean, I had a great time. I'm not really going to complain about that. We could have lost 10-0. I would have not complained about going. But the point of what I'm trying to say is play for the badge. That's what I want to see.